Welcome back to the Self-Centered Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Wish Bang, and today we're going to talk about domestic violence. Break the silence, break the cycle. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, help is just a call away. Reach out to your local domestic violence hotline or visit a nearby shelter. You are not alone, and support is ready and waiting. Let's build a world where every home is a safe haven. In the privacy of many homes, a silent battle rages on: domestic violence, an issue that transcends time but demands our urgent attention. As we navigate an evolving world, it's crucial to confront the harsh reality that persists within the confines of private spaces. From the eras where domestic violence was hushed behind cultural norms, today growing understandings, our journey begins with acknowledging a historical backdrop. Breaking free from the shackles of acceptance has been a slow but necessary process. Keke Palmer coming out today, filing a restraining order against her baby father, whom she has an 8-month-old son with, and in her court documents explains that she has been dealing with 2 years of domestic violence, and she's also provided video footage, which stills were released for everyone to see some of the things that have partially been going on in her home. Now, a lot of people have mixed reviews. I've heard reviews saying, oh, it's been 2 years. Why is she speaking now? I've heard people say, there's people who are empathizing with her who say her baby father, Darius, is a monster for doing what he did. And honestly, from what we've witnessed and what we've learned about how psychological domestic violence abusers are, there is a space to understand where some people honestly feel that a change can be made. Therefore, they stick it out a little bit longer just to see if the person is going to commit to what they've said to them. So there may be a moment where there's a disruption, but then there's moments of peace. Those moments of peace can create conflict because the victim may feel like, okay, things are on the up and up. And then the abuser defaults back into who they really are, and the problem persists. I feel like in those situations, you have to understand where people are coming from. And a lot of the times, abusers choose their victims wisely. They choose people that they see may have low self esteem. They choose people that they see may have a hero complex where they feel the need or feel they can save someone. So they know that what they do is going to trigger this person's need to want to help them. It's a lot of psychological games that get played when it comes to domestic violence. People just have to be very mindful, very sharp, and pay attention to the signs because there are signs. You'll see certain behaviors, you'll see certain temper tantrums. There are so many ways you can gauge where a situation could be getting a little bit too hostile. The conversation tone is too aggressive. There are many things you can do to protect yourself from people who don't know how to communicate, people who don't know how to keep their hands to themselves, people who lack good judgment and feel as if they can do what they want when they want. So I don't have enough details about the history of the relationship between Keke and her baby father, how she portrayed it on the internet, and the things that she said about him. She had good things to say about him for the most part, but again, victims often fluff their situation, fluff their scenario to cover up what's really happening because it can be embarrassing for someone, especially someone with a status like Keke, who's known for her little personality, known for being her little snappy self, and to know that she has this strong demeanor in her working relationships and her persona, to know that she's been subjected to abuse for the past 2 years. It's kind of hard for her to want to come out and share this with the world because our perspective of people is only what we know thus far. up until this point, we judge people based on what we've seen. So every time we collect new information about a person, it kind of changes how we view them. It changes the dynamic that, it changes who we thought they were as we learn things, especially when it's private things. Like when more private things are revealed about somebody that you admire or someone that you respect, it can truly change how you feel about them. I, in my own life, have relationships where some of my favorite people have shown me a side of themselves that I didn't believe could be them. And I've lost faith in some of my favorite people. Like I have to scale back on my respect for some of my favorite people because their behavior don't match the image that I've had of them all this time. So it's not far fetched to believe that someone like Keke, who puts on this persona, could be experiencing something that she has been either afraid to talk about or ashamed to talk about. And she shouldn't be shamed for it. This is a teachable moment in these situations because a lot of these young men out here really lack communication skills. They really lack temperament, how to control themselves. They weren't taught how to, sit down, decompress, relax yourself. A lot of these young boys are being taught you got to get a family, you got to work, got to pay the bills, got to take care of these kids. You got to do all these things, but they're not really taught self care. They're not really taught how to relax, how to chill. And some of them don't think that they should do these things because that's too feminine to have a rest day. It's too feminine for a man to decide he needs to go get a massage because he had a long week. Those things are important. Self care is not just for women, self care is also for men. Self care is for kids. I've had my children come to me and take mental health days from school. They'll come like, look, I had a long week. It's a lot going on. I don't feel like going to school today. And I got to respect that because they're understanding, they know their worth. And they understand that it's only so much you can do when you are working and popping on all cylinders. You just going, going, going. You got to stop and decompress. So I wish them all the best in that situation. They have a beautiful 8-month-old baby that is now in the center of chaos. And depending on how hard they're willing to work, this situation can either end in a amicable solution where the parents go their separate ways and they agree to co-parent in peace, or it can get ugly depending on how far each person is willing to go and how much this situation can escalate. So when it comes to domestic violence, I just strongly suggest that you try to be a shoulder for people to have healthy conversations and healthy discussions because you honestly never know what people are going through. I have just a few domestic violence facts I would like to share that there's a historical perspective where traditional norms in the past, societal norms often condone or overlook domestic violence, perpetuating a culture of silence. We've seen this for so long. We've seen this in almost every scenario, down to little girls in high school in relationships with boys that are aggressive and or boys in relationships with girls that are aggressive and they don't say anything about it, you know? Changing attitudes, increased awareness over time. Increased awareness has shattered the stigma, encouraging survivors to speak out and seek help, creating safe spaces for people to vent, for people to release themselves, even for people that are abusers. Having an environment where people can identify that there are some issues within our loved ones and we can sit them down and say, hey, I see the path you're on. I see what you got going on, and it's not going to end well if you don't start doing some more work on yourself. That's healthy. That's healthy, and that shows that you really care about them. There's also a legal route. Involving legal frameworks now recognize domestic violence as a crime, providing avenues for justice and protection. There was a time when it wasn't that serious. There was a time when women couldn't go to the police because who's going to believe you over your husband? Who's going to believe a woman over a man? So now that, things have changed, there are more avenues to get help. The rise of support services, the emergence of dedicated helplines, shelters, counseling service have become a crucial lifeline for survivors. These things are important, especially if you don't have a lot of family, you don't have a lot of friends, and you find yourself in a predicament that you feel you can't get out of. Utilize these resources because they are there for you. Global initiatives and advocacy have spurred conversations fostering a united front against domestic violence. Near and far, people are getting privy to what's going on and they're working together to put an end to it. Technology has provided new avenues for support, connecting survivors with resources and assistance, connecting you to people, chat rooms, hotlines, different places and spaces that are safe for you to discuss what you're going through so you can find some sort of balance. There's still work yet to be done. Despite progress, challenges do persist. Continued efforts are essential to eradicate domestic violence and create a safer world for all. So, knowing all of this, look for the signs within your friends and your loved ones. Offer insight, even for the signs and abusers. If you got a homie that is wild aggressive, he don't know how. How they got this thing where they say, "Hey man, you scaring the hoes." That nigga needs somebody to sit him down and help him understand that you cannot be that type of person. You need to do the work, or people are not gonna want to be around you. You got female friends who get drunk and belligerent and throw drinks when she drunk, or she like to knock shit over when she get mad. Talk to her. Talk her down from that ledge, because these people feed a society of people like them that these behaviors are okay and there's no consequence for them. If you see the signs and the people that you love, now don't talk to strangers or someone you don't know. But if you see the signs and people that you can impact their lives, the things that you say is respected by this person to a degree, it's your duty to try to help that person understand that in the world that we're in right now, that behavior is completely unacceptable. I say that to say we learned how to keep our hands to ourselves in kindergarten. We learned it all throughout elementary school and into middle school and high school. As adults, when your brain functioning is fully developed, people today need to know that you cannot go off hitting people, cursing people out, wilding out, or any of that based on your hurt emotions or your hurt feelings. You have to learn how to control yourself. You have to learn how to control your temper. You have to learn how to control your mood. You govern your mind, body, and spirit, right? So, knowing that you control yourselves is your duty to constantly work on that responsibility. Okay, there's therapy available, there are hotlines available, there are avenues for you to get help. We also have to take into account that we cannot judge individuals that are going through experiences that are different from ours and feel as if our opinion or our take on it is going to instantly be accurate or resonate with that person. So if you come from a place where you've seen domestic violence, there's a history of domestic violence in your family, you have friends you have witnessed being harmed, those things weigh on you and they stay with you. And it may change your temperament towards it. It may make you a little bit insensitive because in your mind, you're watching your friend get knocked between the dryer and the washing machine. Why won't she leave? Things like that, you cannot impose what you would do in someone else's situation because you don't know what you would do in that situation. These people are experiencing these things. You don't know their mental state. You don't know their emotional state. You don't know why they have chosen to accept things that you wouldn't accept. You just have to offer a safe space for them to speak to you so you can try to offer some sort of insight or just be there for them. A lot of judgment and a lot of expectation of judgment is why people kind of fall back and don't want to share what they're going through with others because they're afraid of what people are going to say to them. We have to stop being so judgmental when we are dealing with people, when we are talking about people. Because if the objective is to understand each other, You're going to have to lose some of that judgment and just learn how to listen. That's it. Just learn how to listen. Thank you for joining us on this crucial journey through the complex landscape of domestic violence. This is not an easy topic, but addressing it openly is a step toward breaking the cycle of silence. Please remember the power to make a difference lies within each of us. Whether you're a survivor, a supporter, or someone seeking understanding, your voice matters. Share your stories, spread awareness, and let's work together to create a world where homes are safe havens of love. If you or someone you know is in need, reach out. Help is available. Together, we can be the change that ends domestic violence. Thank you for tuning in to the Self Centered Leadership Podcast. I am your host, Wish Bang. Please remember to be kind. If you do not have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. Be the change you want to see in others and spread love where you can. You don't have to be toxic or negative all the time. Be good and good things will come unto you. Have a wonderful weekend.